Yes, guys. Well, I've had to do this video because the absolute bullshit that I'm hearing off the media this week, absolute total nonsense that they're trying to throw at Manchester City. So I'm going to break down what has actually happened, what people want you to believe has happened, what the probable outcome will be. So this week we were told by the Telegraph that the Times, we were told that Manchester City had launched unprecedented legal action against the Premier League and they were trying to rip up the sponsorship rules with regards to sponsorships by associated parties. They're not trying to rip up the rules. Pre-2021, before the Newcastle takeover, Manchester City had a sponsorship, probably one of the biggest sponsorship they had at the club was with Etihad Airways. Now, this has got nothing to do with the 115 charges. The 115 charges isn't about overinflated. It's about changing facts after the date. So they've cut the books afterwards to make them look like it's nothing to do with the value of the thing and with the overinflated the values of the sponsorship. It's to do with Manchester City with changing them after the fact and correcting the books later down the line. Nothing to do with this one. Will it have an impact? Possibly. Possibly not. So anyway, back to the thing. In 2021, Newcastle United were bought out. The Premier League shit themselves. Especially the cartel, we'll call them. Liverpool, Chelsea. Not so much, possibly Chelsea at the time, possibly not now. Arsenal. All these clubs, the so-called established Premier League clubs, shit themselves. We thought, we've got another Man City here now. They're going to do associated sponsorships. They're going to put big money into the club. They're going to invest. They're going to make the Premier League more competitive. We can't have that because we want Liverpool and Man United at the top. And they shit themselves. So they actually put a hold on all associated sponsorships at the time. And City were like, well, don't think so. In the Middle East, if you're not aware, it's like pretty much a standard thing that happens in the Middle East, right? If you own a business, I own a business, and I go and buy another business, right? I'll use my brother's business to promote that business with its sponsorship. So my brother's business will become a sponsor of that club, and I want to build my business, my knowledge. I also want to build his business, which is what people would do in a family situation. Are they overinflated? Possibly, because you bought in FFP rules where clubs can't compete. They can't compete. They can't spend. Aston Villa, Newcastle this year have had brilliant seasons. They've got to sell the best players to invest. How is that good for the league? No, it's good for Man United and Liverpool because it keeps them near the top. And if they're not near the top, they can buy the way back to the top. Anyway, back to the associated rules. Yeah, so the Premier League brought in this rule in 2021. They blocked all associated deals. Then, down the line, they realised that they can't do this. So then what they decided to do was any deals, any transfer deals in the Premier League now have to be signed off with a letter from the person who sponsors you explaining why that sponsorship is fair deal. Hence why all these sponsors are falling off at Liverpool and United, because these big companies don't want to write explanations to a governing body to explain why their sponsorship fucking deal is fair value, and that also goes to their shareholders to show why it's fair deal. People are like, we don't want nothing to do with this. Hence why Man United have struggled. And look at Man United's sponsorship deal when it was renewed was actually less than what they were paying Chevrolet. But let's not go into that. So anyway, it was then brought in that the associated deals would then be put to an arbitrational panel who will then decide. Man City were like, well, hang on a minute. Why have we got to give all our personal financial details to some arbitrary panel who will probably end up getting leaked back to the Premier League anyway, and they can see exactly what's going on in our books? And rightly so. What the fuck has it got to do with the Premier League? So Manchester City said, we will not accept this. A number of other clubs said they wouldn't accept it, and they would take legal action. So the turn of this year, Manchester City put legal letters in saying they would not like. They're not saying they want a free-for-all. They're not saying they want to put Etihad Airways sponsoring us $600 billion a year. Etihad Airways are a PLC company. They're about to float on the stock exchange this year. So when they're going to be spending money from this year onwards, they've got to explain to their shareholders what's good value and what's not. If they're giving Manchester City $2 billion a year to make them look good and profitable FFP, the shareholders aren't going to like it, and the stock promit's going to go right down. So it's absolute nonsense to say that Man City are going to turn it into the Wild West, because they just can't do that, because Etihad Airways are going to be a PLC company from October, so So they've got to show fair value on every single business transaction they do to the stock exchange. So it's absolute nonsense what you're being told off the media. Now, this week, Standard Chartered. Just so happens that the week that Liverpool's biggest sponsors has been laundering money for terrorists, this story drops about Manchester City and keeps Liverpool. Call me suspicious, call me what, I don't know. But listen, guys, I am telling you now, Etihad Airways, if City win this case, Etihad Airways will not be paying ridiculous amounts of money because they're going to be a PLC company and they just cannot do it. They just can't. The stock value will go, woo! It's just not going to happen. And if you're not living in the real world, you don't know this. Anyway, guys. Sorry, I'm just itching my leg there now. In the next 2 weeks, we're going to have a court case. Now, as a City fan, I hope we win it really, because I'm going to tell you now, Etihad Airways, it's not just them. This is a fight for Newcastle. This is a fight for Aston Villa. Possibly even Chelsea now, because they're getting their hands tied up, but they've got clever guys that are on it. The league needs to be competitive. We need other teams in it. I welcome clubs who can spend money. I welcome that. But I'll tell you what, these United fans don't, because they know this season that they can buy their way past Aston Villa and Newcastle because they can spend it. And they don't like the idea that potentially they'll be able to spend what United can spend and they can overtake them. But let's look what United has spent over the last few years, and they've not spent it very well. So in the next 2 weeks, there's going to be a court case. And it's litigation. And at the end of this litigation, if Man City are right and these rules are illegal, they should be rightfully changed. Rightfully changed. Now, if it turns out that it's not illegal and it's fair and proper, fair play. City haven't got an argument. If the law decides that these rules are legal and proper, City cannot have an argument or a debate about this. But if they are proven to be illegal, they must be changed immediately, because we all comply with the law. We all comply with the law. And if we're not complying with the law in the Premier League, it must be changed, so we are. So let the court case run its course, and it's not going to be an interesting court case. It's going to be about competition law. 2 weeks of debating competition law. And you'll probably read the prosecution and you'll probably read the defence, and they'll both have brilliant cases that sound like they're both going to win. And in the end, it will come down to who is right and who is wrong. And everyone's saying, for the good of football, I hope City lose. No, for the good of football. If you're a football fan who supports somebody outside the top six, and you dream of being bought by an oligarch, or you dream being bought by a billionaire one day, you want these rules to be changed. So one day, if your chance does come and someone does want to invest your money, you've got the dream of potentially winning the Premier League, because the cartel don't want you to have that dream. They just want Liverpool, Arsenal, United at the top fighting. They don't want all these other clubs, and they don't want investment in football. And I personally think that investment is good and it should be allowed. So we'll see what happens. And another little thing as well, from what I've been reading in between the lines, none of us, absolutely none of us, are going to find out the outcome of this litigation, because it's all confidential. But I'm guessing the person at Liverpool that leaked the story to the media to stop the Standard Life site coming into the media, I'm guessing he'll probably leak the outcome of it if it goes in favour of the Premier League. If not, I just think you'll see slight changes to the rule. I don't think you're going to see the stupid 1 billion, because like I said, Etihad Airways are a PLC company, City's biggest sponsor. They're not going to be able to do this. ATS, your Man City man in a van. Over and out.